One.
Welcome with BS with Joe. This is Brad Scott, and that's Joe.
And Joe.
So today we're going to talk about the Utah shooting that recently happened at one of the protests or riots.
Yes. So basically, what happened is, and I'll give you the sanitized version from the newspaper. Is what did they call them? They're not vigilantes. They called them
Peacekeepers.
peacekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
Shot. Well, actually, they didn't even say that. They said that this particular individual has been arrested and charged with murder when one person was shot during the protest.
Right.
They made it sound like this guy that was arrested did the shooting.
Right.
He didn't.
Correct.
He never fired a round.
Yes. I've seen the video, and I've actually seen some video commentaries and news sources talk about this.
Okay.
So, the peacekeepers, they're individuals. Well, yeah, vigilantes. They were in these yellow vests.
Okay.
And they were responsible for organizing and preparing the protesters.
Right.
And they were to try to keep the peace with the protesters and things like that.
Yes. Because we all know that lefties with guns is good.
Right. And they were armed.
Yes.
That's part of the reason why they were given the task of being peacekeepers.
Right.
But they were concealed carrying.
Okay.
They weren't open carrying. They were concealed carrying.
Yeah. Well, they had holsters, from what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have a vest that covers a holster, it's concealed.
That's true.
Now, the individual that was blamed for the shooting
Yes.
actually had a AR-15 in his backpack.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The media made it sound like he was holding it.
Well, he was holding it.
But
He
it was,
took it out of his backpack,
okay.
and he was holding it, pointing it at the ground, not at anybody.
Okay.
And he charged it. Okay? Still not pointing at anybody. I don't know if it was unsafe or not.
We don't even know if it was loaded. But
Well,
he charged it.
He charged it, which is loading it. But the thing is, with my beliefs with firearms, is every firearm should be loaded.
Right.
It's a paperweight if it's not loaded.
Yeah, it's useless.
It's useless. Now, the peacekeepers shot at him.
Well, he moved into a crowd after he saw them drawing their weapons.
Right. Well, I don't think he even saw them drawing their weapons.
Okay.
He just charged it and was moving towards the crowd.
Okay.
You see him start sprinting into the crowd when he hears the shots being fired from the peacekeepers.
Okay.
Of course, what are you going to do if you're being shot at? You're going to run into a crowd.
Yeah.
Try to take some sort of cover. I don't care if it's a body or whatever. They're
Okay.
going to try to take cover. It's just human instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what everyone is saying, and if you watch the video, you don't ever hear the peacekeepers ever say, "Put your gun down."
They claimed that they had.
They claim they did. And when they shot at the individual with the rifle, they missed him. He wasn't hit, and they hit an innocent bystander
Exactly.
that died.
Right.
Now,
And the peacekeepers were not charged or even arrested.
nope, but the individual with the firearm was.
Right. And he was charged with the murder of the guy that he didn't even shoot.
Right. And good luck trying to prove that in a court of law.
Well, they're saying that he's responsible for it because his actions caused the peacekeepers to fire at him.
What actions did he do that caused it to happen? Being armed?
Yes.
So
They claim that he, and the wording was that he moved the weapon into a firing position.
yeah, and brandished it.
Yes.
And I get the brandishing part because he had it in his hand.
Yes.
Now, if you have it in a sling and it's just slung across your body,
Right.
that, as far as I'm concerned, is like putting it in a holster. 'Cause your
Yeah.
hands aren't on it.
Right.
Or
Or slung over your shoulder or something.
Right.
Yeah. It's a rifle.
it's a rifle. You can't really conceal it.
Right.
But if you watch the video, he never pointed at anybody. It was pointed at the ground the whole time.
Now, the other thing that I've heard is that the police knew about this guy, or knew of him
Right.
beforehand. And he had some history with the police.
He has.
And it's believed that he may have been there because I guess he was a left extremist.
He's Antifa.
Yes, he may have been there with the intention of shooting at police.
May have.
We don't know.
We don't know. And
But
you know,
this is supposedly why the police didn't arrest the vigilantes,
right?
which were their organization is 50-51.
Yes.
Meaning 50, 50, and 1, which stands for, was it 50 states, 50 protests, 1 cause.
Right.
Yeah.
And that organization, let's look at it this way. If they were law enforcement,
Yes.
they could be civilly charged.
Yes, they could.
And
They should have been
50-51 should be charged civilly.
Yeah, well, both. They should have been arrested as well.
Right, because
I think if this had happened at a Republican rally, I think everybody there would have been arrested.
Mhm.
Everybody involved.
Absolutely.
The guy with the AR-15 would have been arrested, and the vigilantes would have also been arrested.
yeah, the supposedly peacekeepers
Yes.
that shot and killed someone.
Yeah.
This goes back to the whole thing of what I believe with
Who shoots into a crowd?
I don't know. I think they saw the individual and was fearful, and then they shot at him.
No, they shot randomly into a crowd with horrible aim.
Right, but they were shooting at the individual that had the rifle. And the thing is,
Trying to hit him through other people?
right. Well, the thing is, there was an unobstructed visual and ability to shoot him, but their capabilities of shooting wasn't that great, and it went into the crowd of people.
Well, then they shouldn't have been in that position to begin with.
Right, they shouldn't have fired.
Right.
You know,
Obviously, there's a training issue.
right. If they were like, if rules of engagement with the military was there,
Right.
the military would be on tribunal.
Well, yeah, they would not have fired into a crowd.
They wouldn't have fired at the individual.
Yeah.
Now they would have shouted at him, which he wasn't even shouted at.
They probably would have surrounded him.
Well, here's the thing: if they would have said stop, put the gun down, while pointing their firearms at him,
Mm-hmm.
he may have done that. Now, if he went to go point it back at them, then yeah, it's complete. All gloves are off, all hands are off.
I don't think it was handled well. I really do not think it was
No,
handled
and
well.
a lot of it was training. If they're considered peacekeepers, they need to have had these conversations. They should have had this training
Yeah, they should have
before
been ready
this
for it.
happened. Yeah. And that goes back with my philosophy of any individual that has a firearm, they need to get as much training as they can.
Yeah.
I don't even have enough training, and I have firearms, and I'm trying to, and I try to play scenarios in my head. I try to do all this other stuff, just so I don't get sued legally.
Right.
And so that's what happened with Utah. At least that's my beliefs of what happened with Utah. But what the thing is with the far left, all the eyewitnesses are there. They're saying that it was the individual with the AR-15. He pointed it at somebody, and they had to shoot at him to stop him.
Who provided the video?
It was somebody on a rooftop that had their cell phone recording it.
Okay, so it is a decent video. Then.
It's okay. It's not poor quality. It's
Good
it's
enough.
not great quality.
Good enough to be shown in court of law.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And but the thing is, you're going to have 50 witnesses disputing that video.
Well, the video doesn't lie.
No, but that's where a jury of the peers should
Yeah.
make the decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Now it's going. I think
it's all going to come out.
It'll all come out.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think it'll still be hard to charge the individual, because law enforcement, if they were to say put the weapon down and they pointed at him and the law enforcement shot at him, missed him, and hit the innocent bystander, law enforcement's not going to get charged.
They'd probably be put on administrative leave for a little while.
Yeah, they may not be working
And
again.
a hand slap.
Yeah, they may not be working again, but they're not going to be charged criminally.
Right.
The department may be sued civilly,
Yeah.
but that's the extent of it.
Yeah. I agree.
Um,
Now, do you also want to talk about Wisconsin?
yes. So there was Wisconsin representative leaders
Yeah.
that were shot and killed.
And
one
their
was
families.
and their families.
Yeah.
One survived. And there's a video of one of the lawmakers sounding really disturbed, commenting on the vote that she voted against, which was
she crossed the aisle.
she crossed the aisle and didn't want to give these migrants benefits,
Right.
which they're illegal migrants, not legal migrants.
Right.
You know, the state was going to give them health care and
Yes.
probably unemployment, probably Social Security, whatever they want to give them. Well,
Right.
Social Security, I don't think they can give them because that's federal.
They haven't paid into it.
Yeah, they haven't paid into it. But chances are, you get somebody that's far left, they're going to give it to them. But that's what she voted against.
Right.
And the other individual that was shot was voted against it as well.
Right.
The individual that shot and killed him was dressed in a police uniform with a rubber mask.
Okay.
And
And he drove a police vehicle.
Well,
Or
it was
like a
it
former
made
police
it look like a police vehicle. It was
Okay.
probably a former police vehicle.
Yeah.
Had lights and everything like that on it. And
Which
they
he left at the scene.
Yeah. And he had a list of other individuals, apparently, of more individuals he was going to shoot and kill.
70 individuals.
Yes, 70
on that list,
individuals on that list. And what's kind of crarazy to me, he's a left individual because he was part of the Tim Waltz.
Yes, he
Campaign.
was appointed by Tim Waltz to a position.
To a position,
Yeah, you don't get appointed by Tim Waltz if you're not left.
right? And he was extreme
Yeah.
because
Obviously.
he had no Keen's flyers in his vehicle.
Actually, it wasn't flyers. He had slips of paper that just said "No Kings."
Okay.
So it was like just the title of the program. You know, there's no dates or anything else. Just says "No Kings."
Right. Probably hear sirens in the background. Welcome to Kissimmee. But
It is Florida.
it is Florida. Something's happening. But the shooter, you know, he was on his way to try to kill other people.
Right. Yeah, he was.
He wanted to make a statement, and what I got from that statement is if you're a Democrat and you vote against the party lines, this is what's coming for you.
That's what he was trying to say.
That's what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of crazy. It wasn't a Republican that was shot.
That's really crazy.
It is.
The interesting thing I found is the way that the media released the information. If this had been when they originally released the information that this had happened, they tried to make it spin that it was a right-leaning person that did this.
Right. Because a lot of the information wasn't out yet. It was a shooter, so it's got to be right-wing. Because it was a Democratic representative.
Right. And they pushed that agenda. But then it came out, and they were very reluctant about releasing them. They're still backpedaling on that, saying that we don't know for sure that he was left. But you don't get appointed to a position by Tim Waltz without being left. And why would he have all that, propaganda in the car
I don't know.
if he's not left?
You're right. Speaking of Tim Waltz, with tampons in the bathrooms,
Yes.
On Tim Pool, he was talking about what some of the teenage boys were doing with all those things in the bathroom, and I instantly went into my thinking of like when I was a teenager, I would have soaked them up and threw them, and they would have stuck on all kinds of shit. At
I'm
school.
sure, yeah.
And they didn't do that. They just damaged the dispensers.
Oh.
But then they would have to replace the dispensers every time. How much money are they spending on that? For maybe one individual out of every one student a year? Not even a year.
Well,
probably one student every 5 years.
If a transgender person is still in high school, they probably haven't had bottom surgery.
Right.
What do they need a tampon for?
Well, it's not for it's for women who identify as boys going into the boys' room.
Oh.
Well, at least that's what I believe. I don't know. It could be whatever. Yeah, or boys who think they get the period.
Where are they going to put it?
That's a question that I don't know.
I don't think I want to know the answer.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either. But, you know, it's one of those kind of things. You're pandering to a very small group of people,
right.
And it's not going to help them in any way.
Right.
And it's...
I think that's partially why the whole LGBTQ woke movement is dying, is because it is a very small part of society. What is it, 6%?
Well, that 6% of individuals are gay.
Oh,
not
okay.
even transgendered. If you look at transgendered, that
see, and the
it's
gays the gays and lesbians don't want to even be affiliated with the transgenders. They want that alphabet split.
Not all. A lot of them do, because a lot of your gay individuals, they probably fantasize about being a woman. That's why they have drag shows and other things like this. So with that fantasy, you're always going to have somebody that's going to want to transition. And that, you know, that's where my belief on a lot of that is. I think it's more of a mental health issue. Because they can't accept themselves for what they are.
Right.
And they want to change it.
Yeah.
It's like somebody who wants to identify as being disabled is going to go to some sort of extreme to become disabled.
That's been proven.
Yes.
People have done that.
Yes. And the way I look at it, you know, maybe I'm religious or whatever. God made you this way. There's a reason why he made you this way. Mm-hmm. And yes, you have every ability to change a lot of things about yourself. You could change your haircut. You could change your appetite to create a different type of physique.
Sure.
You could do different things to change things about yourself.
Grow a beard.
Grow a beard. Shave a beard.
Yeah.
Some individuals have a hard time growing hair.
Tattoos, piercings.
Yeah. And
some people take that to the extreme.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old can't get a tattoo without parental consent, but yet in some states in certain areas they could get hormone treatments to change their gender
without telling the parents at all.
Yeah, and that's what
that's not right.
That's not right. I think an individual needs to become an adult.
Yeah,
and
I don't agree with delaying puberty so that they can make a choice later either, because that does all kinds of damage.
Yeah, that's irreversible harm.
Yes. And the Hippocratic Oath tells doctors to first do no harm.
Right. And if you, by just giving the hormones, can prevent a lot of things from developing, now you're doing harm.
Exactly.
Now, if somebody's an adult and they choose to,
and they've been through all this therapy,
hey, go for it.
Yeah.
They're an adult. They have every choice they want to make. Now, with making that choice, they also got to live with the consequences of people ridiculing, misgendering them.
Yeah.
You know, and not being able to use certain facilities, even if you don't have the bottom surgery.
Right.
Because that's just the way you got to accept. That's just what you got to accept.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something else about that, but I don't remember what it was.
That's right.
But that's just the way it is. And we've gone on to transgender from a shooter. And
Yeah, we started with Utah, then we went to
Utah.
Wisconsin, and now we're on transgender.
yeah, that's crazy how we're going.
Oh, Tim Waltz. That's
Tim
why.
Waltz. I had to make the tampon comment. But also talking about that, you look at some of the last school shootings and shooters.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, they really tried to hide that she was left.
Yes.
They tried to hide that.
Yeah, shot at the Christian school.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.
Please.